Reddit Storytimes. Today's video is a compilation video of the past few days' videos. If you don't mind, please like and subscribe. I would love to keep on posting these videos. Another way to go ahead and show some support, if you have your own Storytime videos and you want to go ahead and tell me all about your different stories, please go ahead and send the stories in to me. I would love to go ahead and read them. Um, Other than that, let's get straight into the video, right? Hi. Welcome to another Reddit Stories video. If you have a Reddit story that you want to go ahead and send in to me, I would love to go ahead and read it. If you have a story of your own, please go ahead and send it in on the Instagram or on the Discord. Other than that, please like and subscribe so I can continue posting all these videos for you guys. They're completely unique stories, unheard by anyone else. Let's get straight into it. So today's video was sent in by Bob. Bob is a loan officer at a bank. He's been working there for a few years now, and he's been working hard and saving up as much money as possible. And he is going ahead, saved up a good bit of money to go ahead and buy up this house. And it wasn't in the best of shape, but it is a house, right? People at his age don't usually buy a house. He's 27, gotta go ahead, already has his own house. That's crazy, you know, but it's a fixer-upper. And so he has like a little bit of a budget to go ahead and do it, but he doesn't have enough to go ahead and hire out a bunch of help. But when he first got there, yeah, it's in an HOA, but he already talked to the HOA management companies like, hey, this is a fixer-upper, right? They know this because they've been fighting the previous owner and eventually took back the house. He's like, hey, I can get this fixed up, but I'm going to need some time, right? I'll get it fixed up if you can give me like 3 months. And they're like, yeah, you know what? We'll give you a grace period of 6 months. This baby fixed up. We want a beautiful home. We want someone who cares about the home, who's been putting in the work, who can do this. He's like, bet, right? And, he started going ahead and he moved in day one and he started going ahead and doing little fixes around the property. They told him to fix up the outside first. And so, he started by going ahead and building up a budget for a bunch of windows because they're like half of them are busted up, right? And so day one, he's going ahead, he's getting these windows fixed up, and the windows he got, they're fancy windows. He had to get about 20 windows, he said, and they're like $300 a piece. So he spent 6K on windows day one. And he's fixing this up, and he hasn't even been in the neighborhood for 12 hours, right? He literally got there, he had the windows delivered day one, and he still has his boxes sitting inside of the house. That's it. And this lady, she walks up and he's like, hi, I just moved in. I'm trying to get this house fixed up and stuff. And she's like, great. I haven't been happy with this previous owner. He's so old. He didn't do anything around here. Look at how abandoned this property looks. It's bringing down the whole neighborhood's value. Everything about this house is terrible. I don't like it. You need to fix it up yesterday. It's absolutely disgusting. Look at the paint. Look at this. Look at this. I love how you're fixing the windows, but you need to be doing more. I need this done as soon as possible. I'm the HOA president. Get this done. You have 2 weeks. And he's like, I don't know who you are, ma'am. I literally just moved in. The HOA company, they said that I have 6 months. And she's like, no, you don't. You don't got 6 months. You got 2 weeks. Get it fixed. I don't care what they said. You have 6 weeks. So he's like, I'm gonna go with what the HOA management company has, because they're the only ones who can give out a fine. You're just like the one who is reporting me to them. She's like, no, you had to listen to me. I'm the HOA president. It's like, and he continues fixing up the windows. And a few hours later, he goes back inside and then he unpacks a little bit and then goes to bed. And around 2 a.m., he's hearing rustling outside, right? And so the rustling, he's checking the camera setup he got. He used to have cameras at his old place, he set them up, and he's seen on his Ring doorbell, like, this crazy lady, she's walking up onto the property, she's creeping around the house, being all weird, and he's like, what's going on? This is kind of creepy. It's 3 a.m., right? And he has her on video just creeping on the property, and he sees her walk all the way up to the door, looks around the house, and then sticks up a note onto the door. It's like, okay, I wonder what this can be. And so he goes back to bed, and in the morning, he goes ahead and sees what she posted on the door, and it's a, like, basically demand letter saying that he has to go ahead, he has to fix up all the paint on the house. He has to go ahead and fix up the windows. He has to fix up all the doors, all the side paneling of the house. He has to fix up the roof, the chimney. He has to fix up absolutely everything about this property. It's like, okay. And he thought this was creepy, so, you know, he went ahead and talked to the HOA management company again, being like, hey, I talked to the HOA president. She's saying I have 2 weeks. You guys said I had 6 months. What's going on with that? And he also sent in, like, she also creeped on my property at 3 a.m. Here she is. And, you know, they get back to him pretty quickly because that's like, what's going on kind of deal. And the HOA management company says, like, yeah, don't really listen to her. We've had some complaints in the past. She's not going to really bother you too much. We're surprised she even walked up to you in person because usually she just lets it be. Like, okay, yes, she won't bother me, right? And so he just gets back to work and he starts going ahead and repainting the sidewalls of the house. But this is a multi-day long project, right? And so he's painting the back of the house and you know, everything goes all right. And then he's just going wall by wall. He has a few days off work to go ahead and move. And so the next day, he finishes getting unpacked. And then he had to go back to work. And so he couldn't do as much around the house. And he's just doing this stuff on the weekend. So that weekend, his friend and him went and got turf for the lawn. And she came over and started yelling at him again, saying, well, you're already halfway out of your time. You should have went ahead and been almost done, right? There should be finishing touches being happening now. The HOA walkthrough is about to happen. I hope you're fully ready for that. And, all this stuff saying that, all the stuff on the outside isn't done. She can see that right now. Uh, that she sent him this letter and that it needs to all be done. If it's not done, I'm going to go ahead and fine you. It's like, what? Right? What's going on, lady? That's crazy. The HOA management company is the only person who can actually send in fines. They're the only ones who can do anything. And she's like, no, I'm the president. The president is more in control over the HOA management company. According to the HOA management company. And she's like, well, too bad. You have to listen to me. I'm the HOA manager. I'm the HOA president, right? The HOA management doesn't know what's going on around here. And he's like, okay, well, I'm fixing up the property according to their schedule. And he just keeps on working on it. So him and his friend work on the um rest of the turf and lawn that weekend and got that all replanted. And so now it's starting to come together, right? He has about half the walls being painted. He has the lawn back together. He has new windows in the property. So it's already looking a whole lot better. And then he gets a notice from the bank saying that there was a crazy fine that was put on his house, saying that, he has no equity inside of his house, right? He put down 20% into his house, right? And he still has no equity inside of his house. For some reason, he's like, what's going on? And he contacted the bank and they're like, hey, yeah, there was a lady she put a lien on your house yesterday. We're just giving you a call, me like, hey, you have no equity anymore. And he's like, what? Who put a lien on my house? I haven't gotten any services done. I haven't done anything like that. And they're like, well, there's a lien on your house. I would go down to the courthouse as soon as possible and see what's going on with that, right? Because that is a little crazy, right? You know, if you haven't gotten any services done, the HOA management company, right? You know, they already talked to the bank saying that they're not going to go ahead and put a lien on the house anytime soon. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go down to the bank or the courthouse here soon, and then we're going to go ahead and see that. And that's what he told the bank. And so that weekend, instead of going ahead and fixing up his fence like he wanted to, he got to go down to the courthouse and he saw what was going on. And they said, well, this lady, his HOA president, sent herself down to the bank. She put a massive lien on the house. He's like, what? And they're like, yeah, we didn't really, right? We're not in control over who puts a lien on the house. Anyone can do that. You can fight the lien, but anyone can come down here, put a lien on anyone's house if they want to. It's just up to you to go ahead and fight it. Like, okay, I guess. And he talks to a lawyer, and they're like, yeah, this happens more than you think in our area, right? A lot of these houses, they're run down and, you know, but they're also all under HOAs, right? So they're like, okay, we're going to see what we can do around here because that is kind of crazy, right? This lady shouldn't be putting a lien on your house if the HOA management said that she can't. And so they went ahead, they started working on this case like, hey, we need to get this lien off the house because the bank only gave him a handful of days to get this all up to par. And so he went ahead, he started working on getting this lien off the house, and he can't really work on the property anymore. And he told the HOA management company, like, hey, you're president, they put a lien on my house. They went ahead and are making me have to fight her on this lien instead of going ahead and fixing up the property. And they're like, yeah, we're sorry about that, man. We see that. We're going to go ahead and give you some time, right? You have the extra 3 months, but if you need more time, just contact us, right? Just make some progress. We're seeing you're making progress. We want to go ahead and make sure you know that we see that, but we would love if you can continue making progress if that's even possible. And so he continues just working as hard as possible. On the weekends, the lawyer, you know, sadly, he's taking his time. In the bank, they know everyone's informed, but this lady, she keeps on going on to the courthouse, right? It's not just a one and done. It's like every day she's going down to the courthouse, putting another massive lien on the house. And this isn't like a small lien of like $5,000, $10,000, right? Where, you know, small, right? You know, 5,000, $10,000. That's a big chunk of change already. But she's putting $50,000 liens on the property, and he's like, "What the heck is going on?" And it's like every other day, she's going down there, she's putting this up, and so it racks up fast what she's doing. And so the lawyer, he's telling him like, "Hey, you know, we should probably just talk to her, right? Because with everything what you're saying, if that's true, the lady she will be facing a crazy punishment, right? Because in your area you get a percent of fake things as your settlement check, right? You know, if you end up winning these, you'll get a portion of the fake lien. And he's like, wow, wonder how much that's going to be. And he's like, probably about 5% if we settle, but it's right. uh you know, if we win, it's going to be about 10. If we go to court and then like we make a deal, it's probably going to be about 5. But you know, we could settle right now for one, or just her dropping it. That's what we want, right? It's like, okay, let's just get this done and over with. And he went down to the courthouse and he just like checked up how much is it really, and she had 800K against his property. It's like, whoa, right? Because 800K, that's more than houses in their area, right? Even the most expensive houses are only like 300, 400K because he's not in California or whatever. He's in Texas. And so it's like, wow, 300, 400K is a lot of money for a property to have as a lien. And he went and talked to the HOA lady and he's like, man, I'm trying to work on this house. I know you want it done faster, but I can't. And she's just like, well, you should have got it done faster. I know you're probably house poor because you're going ahead and having to deal with uh buying this new property and all this and that. But young man, if you can't afford to get this house up to snuff, you couldn't have bought this property. You shouldn't have done it. He's like, ma'am, this is a fixer upper property, right? This is what you're supposed to buy when you're first getting your property if you're a kid and you're willing to put in time and effort. And that's what I'm doing. I have the time. And she's like, well, okay, I'm not settling with you then, right? Because that's what he came there to do, to settle. And he's like, ma'am, I have a lawyer, and he's saying that you're gonna owe me money for each one of these fake liens on my property. And she's like, well, if it comes to that. And so now she's going around the property, to different properties, and she's telling the neighbors, like, hey, this guy, he's going ahead and saying all these crazy things, like I'm putting fake liens on his property, and I'm going ahead, I'm doing this and that, and that now he's trying to sue me for all this money. It's so sad what he's doing to this old lady, right? And she's trying to go ahead and basically turn the neighborhood against him because he's already the youngest person in the neighborhood because most people there are like in their mid 40s, early 50s. And then there's also like a good bit of people that are like basically in their retirement ages. And so they're already seeing him as an outsider, especially now that she's saying that he's suing her. And so he talked to the lawyer like, hey, is she allowed to go ahead and just basically say these things? And he's like, yeah, sadly, right? Because it's technically not lies. You are suing her. Um, and technically it's her opinion saying that, these are fake liens, right? In her mind, they might be legit. And so, you can't sue her for defamation. You can't sue her for anything like that. But it's more just like, let's win the court case, and then you can win over the neighbors after that. And he's like, okay. So he's getting the house fixed up. It's almost done at this point. It's been about 4 months, and now they finally get into court, right? And so he gets there. The courthouse, they're not going to go easy on her because she went ahead. She just started fighting with this guy. She wasn't willing to settle, and they're just like, hey, these liens aren't legit. We have the HOA management company saying that they're not legit. Just like drop the liens. And so they talked to the court. They didn't care, right? She didn't care at all. So because they saw how this lady didn't care at all, they went ahead and just fully sided with him. And so that was with 5% of the value of these liens. And that, right, she just kept on going back. So it was over $2 million, right? And so that's a lot of money in liens, right? So he got 100K just for going ahead and fighting this case. And so now he went back home and he didn't get the money yet, but this lady is now going around the neighborhood saying how he stole from an old lady. He took her to court. She already had to pay her lawyer all this money, and now she lost. And she's going ahead and doing all this sad stuff. And so now she has to go ahead and pay 100K to him. And so he's telling the neighbors, like, yeah, I did take her to court. She went ahead and put all these liens against my property that were fake. Trying to go and explain this to the neighbors. They don't really care. But, at the end of the day, he does have a good bit of equity in the house now. The bank knows that that's happening. And so he's probably thinking about selling. And that's why he sent in this story. But yeah, honestly, man, I say just sell at this point. Like, you have the 100K from that. You said you got your property for pretty cheap and you put in the money. Yeah, honestly, just sell and put that new money towards just getting a different house in a different neighborhood. Maybe get another fixer upper because apparently you're pretty good at that, right? But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. So don't go ahead and put fake liens against people's property, right? That's messed up. Don't do that. You know, you'll owe a lot of money that you might not have. But other than that, guys, we're gonna leave it here. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you want me to go ahead and read over your story times, please send them in. Right, I have a Reddit, I have a Discord, I have an Instagram. Other than that, goodbye, guys. I love you. I'll talk to you guys later. Welcome back to Reddit Stories. These are completely unique Reddit stories, unlike any others you have heard before, right? These haven't been read anywhere else. And other than that, let's get straight into it, right? If you want me to read your Reddit stories, please send them in. I have a Reddit, I have a Discord, I have an Instagram. Send them in. I would love to read them, even if you don't want to go ahead and have them read on the channel. I'll go ahead and just read over it and maybe give you some advice, if I can. But yeah, other than that, let's get straight into it. Today's story time was sent in by Julia. Julia, she's a real estate manager. She manages a few properties for this like real estate firm. They own just a handful of properties and she manages them for her. This property group, um, it's just a handful of apartments. And our main job is just to go ahead and make sure all the spots are rented out. But she ended up going ahead and buying herself an RV. And she's living in that RV full time, right? Which, that's pretty sick. I think, she's probably saving a little bit of money. And some of those RVs are really nice. Hopefully hers is as well. That kind of thing. But she ended up posting a few pictures to her Facebook about how she's so lucky that she got this RV, that she's now living on this property and she's doing great. But basically these humble brag posts that you'll see online, things like that. And she went ahead, she posted a few of these, and apparently her brother saw these posts. And her brother isn't that great. He doesn't really have an amazing job. He works off and on at different places. He's worked at Taco Bell for a little bit, and he's worked at McDonald's, those kinds of like cook jobs at like fast food places. And he'll hold those jobs for like a few months, right? You know, according to her, like his longest job was 18 months, but more lately it's been like around the 3 to 4 month period. But he'll get a job so quickly it doesn't really matter, right? But he's not moving up anywhere. He's not getting a good career path. He's not racking up a good amount of savings or anything like that. He's just going ahead and doing the bare minimum, basically, to get by. And apparently, the brother saw this, right? And he was unhappy that she bought this RV. So he immediately, like just a few days later, showed up on her property and said, well, I see you have this RV. I'm so happy for you. Sis, could I please move in? Things like that. And she's like, not really. Right? It's, it's an RV, so it is nice, but it's like still pretty small, right? It's smaller than like a trailer house. And so having two people live in there is kind of cramped. Plus, she didn't really even want him living there, even if it was like a studio apartment kind of thing. Apparently, this brother, he's not very clean and organized. And she prefers everything being clean and organized. And so she didn't even want the brother being there in the first place. But apparently, the brother did not like this because he ended up going home and texting the mom, right? And so he texted the mom like, hey, Right, sis won't let me move into the RV. And so the mom sent this to the sister, like, hey, your brother, he really wants to move in with the RV, right? He's struggling a little bit. Could you please let him move into the RV with you just for a little bit, right? I don't think he's very happy living at this property, right? Because he's still living with mommy and daddy, right? That kind of thing. And right, he's about to be 30 as well. And so, she ended up saying, I can't really let him live there. It's very small. I told him this before. Maybe he can go ahead and find a cheap place to rent, right? I know the apartments in my area, they're fairly cheap, right? Not amazingly cheap, but like still you're only paying like 800 a month for a studio. You can go ahead and rent out one of the rooms and get a roommate kind of thing and be able to live there for only 800 a month. Maybe even like 600 if you get a second roommate. So it won't be that big of a deal, but the mom and the stepbrother, they hated this opinion, saying, well, might have been easy for you to go ahead and do all that stuff, but it's very difficult for him, right? He struggled a lot, and she doesn't really know why, right? She's his sister, so she knows if he has like a learning disability or something. Doesn't have that, right? He doesn't have cancer. He hasn't had like narcolepsy or anything, right? And so they know all of his like record. He doesn't have anything like that, and so she basically asked mom, like, how could it possibly that be that hard, right? We had the same situation, we had everything the exact same, and the mom's like, well, he thinks differently than you, right? You think about the future, you think about this and that. And she's like, well, yeah, because I don't want to go ahead and waste all my money in McDonald's. Now I get punished. And she's like, yeah, maybe, but like, he is family. You should help out family. Help him out. He's struggling here. He's like, uh, no, no, mom, I don't really want to go ahead and let my brother live inside of my house. And so it just goes back and forth like this for a while, you know, where the mom is basically begging the sister, and she finally gives up, like, hey, I'm not going to let him move in. Right. And right now, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to finish moving in, kind of thing. This is getting tiring of you guys just trying to get him to move into the RV. And so she finishes getting unpacked, and she ends up, doing that for the rest of the day. She bought her friend some pizza, and, like, because they helped him move kind of thing. But other than that, like, she fully gets unpacked. And she ends up going to sleep and going to work the next day. When she gets home, right? So she drives the trailer park where her RV is parked, and her RV is missing now, right? And she's wondering where could it possibly be, right? And so she called up the RV park, and they're like, yeah, a little strange that you went ahead and moved it so soon after moving in, but no, we'll give you back your monthly deposit if you want, right? Because it was only like here for a few hours. We can just charge you the day fee, which is a lot cheaper. And she's like, no, no, no. I just want to know where it is because I didn't personally move it. And they're like, what? Right? Because we had a family member of yours come by and they moved the trailer. And so she immediately checked in with her brother and her mother, like, hey, where's my trailer, guys? And so neither one responded. And she ends up saying, like, well, if you don't respond, I'm going to call the police. Right? Because this is a big deal, right? I saved up a lot of money to go ahead and buy this trailer, right? It took a lot of time, took a lot of effort. I need my trailer back, right? If I don't get my trailer, we're going to have big problems, kind of deal. And so she ends up sending out a good bit of like messages to him. And then she says, well, this is finally, I'm calling the cops if you don't respond within 2 minutes, right? And so it's been like 30 of her just waiting for this trailer to return or waiting for them to respond, and they didn't do it. And so she sends this final message, and they immediately respond. And so they're like, yeah, please don't. You should have just let your brother move in the first place. It was so rude of you not letting your family move in with you. Everything about that is extremely rude. He is family. He should be helped out like anyone else. And we saw you helped out your friend the other day. She's like, what are you talking about, right? Because she didn't help out the friend the other day, right? The friend isn't living there, and she's like, we have images of you guys going ahead and eating food together. We see like you're going ahead and buying all this and that for them. And she's like, I didn't do that. And so they sent her pictures of her buying the pizza and beer for her friend, because that's what you do when you help out someone move, right? You go ahead, you buy them pizza and beer, right? If I'm moving a refrigerator for you, you should get me a pizza. It's not that big of a deal, right? And she's like, yeah, he helped me move. And she's like, well, if you can help out your boyfriend over here, you can help out your brother. And because you were so rude, we decided to just take the trailer. Right. And so she's like, no, no, mom, this is my trailer. Right. I need my trailer back yesterday. And I need all my stuff back. I need everything. Right. This is not allowed. And end up saying, well, too bad, we're already halfway across the state. You should have went ahead and contacted us before this. She's like, well, if you don't go ahead and return my trailer and all my stuff in the perfect condition that it was in beforehand, then I'm gonna go ahead and call the cops, right? Because I can't go ahead and have you stealing my trailer, right? Trailers are expensive. This RV, it costed her $50,000. And so they're like, this is a $50,000 thing. This is like a down payment on a condo kind of deal, right? And so the sister ended up texting like everyone, like, hey, you got to go ahead and return the trailer, that kind of thing. And they don't do it, right? And so she ended up saying, you know what, you have 30 minutes, get the trailer back here, right? Um, and so she's checking the Life 360 app because they're all shared together, and she's seeing them continue driving further and further away, right? And so she ended up saying, okay, last chance. If you don't return the trailer, I'm going to go ahead and call the cops, right? I see you guys. You're almost 2 states away now. This is a problem for me, right? You can't do that. And so the mom said, well, you should have done the right thing to begin with. Now you lose your trailer. And so she's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to call the cops. And this is a big deal. So she ended up calling the cops on them, like, hey, my mom, she just took my trailer almost out of the state, and she's almost into a different state now. And, she's all the way over here. She's almost in the other state. Can you go ahead and get it, right? And so they end up going ahead and they found her pretty quickly because not many people are driving an RV attached to a little Honda on the highway. So they found her pretty quickly. And so they ended up going ahead, arresting the mom, and they saw, well, with your hurry and your driving and all that, you end up breaking a lot of things, but, they got the trailer back. And so at least she had like home insurance to go ahead and cover most of it. But now the mom is facing charges, right? Because this is a $50,000 trailer. She did a bunch of damages to all of her possessions, right? So that was another like $10,000 in damages. The damage to the trailer was another like 5,000. So she was facing like 15K worth of damages. But she had to go ahead and tell the insurance, like, hey, my mom damaged all these items. Like, what do we have to do to get claim filed? And they're like, well, you have to go ahead and press charges, right? So if you want to go ahead and get that 15K back, you have to go ahead and press charges on your mom. And so she had to do it because, there were like places where it was leaking, right? So this wasn't day one, but it was still like pretty quickly that they found out it was leaking because of the way she was moving the trailer. It was like her laptop also broke, things like that, where these are not necessary, but necessary things where they're a lot of money. And so it ended up becoming like 15K worth of damages, and so she needed this covered because she just bought this trailer cash and whatnot, and so she ended up having to go ahead and serve her mom papers like, you're gonna get in trouble for this kind of thing. And so now the mom's calling her like, why are you pressing charges on family? And she's like, what, you stole my trailer? Like, that's crazy. Most people don't steal each other's properties in their house, right? I don't care if you're family or not, you don't steal someone's house. And so now she's getting in trouble for stealing this, and so now um sadly Sarah feels a little guilty for going ahead and reporting her mom to the cops. But all I say is, like, your mom tried to steal your trailer. That's absolutely insane, right? If my mom tried to steal my house and try to give it to my sibling, like, I don't know what I would do, but it's not anything good, right? And they charge 15K worth of damages to you, right? And you said you went ahead and talked to the mom and dad, like, hey, do either of you had 15K? Because, like, that's the only way to get mom back, right? And so, no, I think you're in the right here. I wouldn't worry about it personally, but you know, just try to go ahead and get it all fixed up, right? At least you have the insurance, so like you could do that. But other than that, you know, that will be it for today's video. If you don't mind, please like and subscribe. I see you guys made it to the end. Other than that, please leave a comment. If you have your own stories, go ahead and send them to me on Instagram, Reddit, or Discord. I love reading you guys' unique stories, and if you want more unique stories like that, please subscribe. Other than that, guys, goodbye. I love you. I'll talk to you guys later. Hello, guys. Welcome back to Reddit Stories. And today we are reading a unique story, just like every other day, unread anywhere else. If you want to go ahead and read your stories, please send them in. I'll go ahead and read them here. Please go ahead and send them in. You know, um, if you want me to go ahead and read your comments, I'll start reading them. Um, please like and subscribe. But today's story was sent in by Joe. Joe is a air mechanic, right? He goes ahead and fixes up old planes, and he has been working at this place from like day one. Everybody knows this man. He is so great. And um in his contract, he got like a great deal. You know, he got a decent salary, plus he also got a thing in his contract where he can go ahead and he gets to keep all the patents and things that he makes for the um you know uh different machines, right? He can go ahead and like customize it, and those customizations he can go ahead and keep the patents for, you know and he went ahead, he made a lot of these in his day, right? Because he's been here for 30 years. But when he's there, he can't go ahead and sell it to the competitors. um and he's been working this place for 30 years, and he went ahead and um played he played a big part in this role, and he um went ahead and started working there day one. He was the first employer, and uh his employer Tom, he ended up retiring, right? He's old. He decided to go ahead and sell off the business to some private equity firm, right? Things like that. Right. So he's made a lot of these patents, and he's been able to customize all of the machines to do certain tasks that they need to go ahead and replace all the wings and stuff. But when they went to this private equity firm, right? They put this new HR lady in charge of it, right? She doesn't know anything about this place, and it's, kind of sad, right? Because they do this all the time, where they'll go ahead and put someone who doesn't care, who doesn't know nothing about the business, and they'll put them in charge. They'll say, it's just to save money, it's just to do this and that, but it's like, man, no, it's every time they'll do this. And so they did this with this man. He went ahead and he had basically, he was the guy, right? Everyone knew him. If there was a problem, he was going to go ahead and get this thing solved. And, he went ahead and he customized all the machines. He knows. And, right. So if there's ever a problem with the machines, he would be the one that gets called down. He'd be the one to fix it. And so, right, when she took over, she went ahead and gave everyone, like, you have to make X number of parts, right? Which makes sense, but you don't take into account, right? If this guy's going and training somebody, if this guy's going ahead and fixing all the machines, you don't take that into account in that kind of scenario, right? And they didn't do that. And so it's like basically day one, they went ahead and said, screw you, man. Like, everything you do doesn't matter here. You got kicked out day one kind of business. And he knew that because he would go ahead, he got called down there week one, like, you are doing 50% of the work that's required for you. But you're going ahead and doing all the tasks like no one knows how to do. And he went ahead and he did all that stuff. He went ahead and he did the um repairs, and they didn't take in that account. And so he went ahead and he got called down day one, basically, right? Week one, you're already getting called down to the manager. You're getting out of there as soon as possible, right? And so they went ahead and he got called down. He's like, hey man, I'm the one who repairs all these machines. Come on, man, you gotta take that into account, right? And they didn't do that. And they said, you know, all of the people, they didn't go ahead and listen to him at all. And they went ahead and they basically fired this man, right? They said, you got to go ahead and get all your numbers up. And so he's like, okay, I'm not going to get fired. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go and just do my job. And so, you know, basically like 2 hours later, he gets called down to go ahead and fix this machine. He's like, hey, I can't do that. I just got called down about my performance. And he's like, I can't fix up your machine. Sorry, man. And then, you know, he got called up to the manager's office just a few minutes later, like, hey, you got to go ahead and continue fixing that up, but you also got to continue making these pieces. Right. And he's like, I can't do both. Right. I told you this. You can't go ahead and do that. And so he's like, hey, it's not even in my title to go ahead and fix up these machines. Right. Which one you want? You want me to fix up these machines or you want me to go ahead and fix up these parts? Right. Whichever one you want. And he went ahead and he was told, go ahead and uh just continued doing his parts. And then he just kept on getting these performance reviews over and over again. Like, hey, you're not doing enough parts. You're not repairing enough of these things. But they didn't go ahead and get these performance reviews, and he got these points that they were doing, and he got eventually fired. Right. So he went ahead the day that he got fired. He told him like, hey, have you read what my contract says? And they're like, yeah, we've read it. Don't worry about it. You're gone, man. And he's like, okay. Right. So they gave him a nice severance at least, right? And so he's like, okay, I'm gonna chill. And he talked to a patent law person. He's like, hey, they don't have the right to use these patents. I want to go ahead and make sure everything's up to date. Let's go ahead and see what we can do on that. Right. And I got my contract right here. I got my patents right here. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. And he talked to them. They said, yeah, we can go ahead and we can fix this up for you. We can go ahead and send a demand letter saying, hey, you need to go and pay X number of dollars. And they sent them like a sweetheart deal. And it was like, just pay me my salary, but you get to use all the patents. or you have to pay me my salary every year to go ahead and continue using my thing, right? All my patents. And they sent this demand letter. And day later, they went ahead and sent out like a letter saying, "Nah, we're not gonna pay you. Don't worry about it." Right? And they're like, "What? You can't do that. We have the patents. You can't do that." And they're like, "No, no, no. We took over the patents. That was not part of your deal. Your contract's wrong." And they said, "Go back and look." And they end up having to go ahead and fight for months, going back and forth, saying, "Hey, we do this." And this whole time, they haven't sent a cease and assist. They haven't done this or that. And then they're like, "You know what? They aren't going to do it until we send a cease and assist." And they send a cease and assist. And now they can't, right? So when you do the cease and assist, apparently you can't go ahead and work, right? They can't go ahead and run these machines at all, right? Till this demand is met. Until you meet an arbiter or a judge, you can't go ahead and get this thing fixed. You can't run those machines. And so they're sitting on like 100K a day because there's a bunch of people working here worth of labor that's just sitting in the break room doing nothing. Right? It's bad. And so they finally sit down and talk like, "Hey, you got to go ahead and pay, right? You got to pay up. It's bad, right?" And so it's like 3 more months of them not even being able to run the machines, and they're making sure that it's running right. They're talking to the old people that work there, his old co-workers, and like, "Yeah, we're not running anything." They're just sitting back and saying, "You make it where we can't even run the machines," right? And they're like, "Yeah, I own the buttons," and they're not even budging. Like, and so they end up saying, "You know what? It's been so many months. We're not going to give you a sweetheart deal anymore. We're going to go ahead and charge you the price of the patents." And so they charged him multiple seven figures to go ahead and use these patents, right? As you should do at this point, right? It's been so many months. Charge them whatever you want, because this isn't the same person you were working for. This is a completely different person. You got fired week one because you went ahead and did all this. Charge them whatever you want, right? I agree. And so they went ahead and they got them to say, you either have to go ahead and pay us like a low seven-figure amount, right? It's going to be like 3 million, he said, to go and do it, or you can't use our patents anymore, and you can't go ahead and make these parts without these patents. And so they end up having to go ahead and pay him. And this is like 9 months later, 9 months, almost a whole year of them not making a single thing to go ahead and get this patent dispute settled. Right? Super dumb of them because you're wasting so much money on just labor costs apparently. Right? It's probably like 10 times the price. So, bro, nah. Next time, go ahead and just rack up a little bit more. Because honestly, sure, they're gonna fight you, but they're gonna fight you anyways. So go ahead and ask for like mid eight figures, right? Maybe not mid eight figures, but like you can go ahead and ask for a good bit, right? Ask for like low eight figures, like 12 million, right? That kind of thing. Bro, you do that, you're set. Right? I mean, I know you're set now. You're saying you're getting 3 million a year. You're making 300K for multiple years. Like you're probably set, but like, dude, screw them kind of thing. Right? No, no, no. That's my advice. But yeah, if you guys like this story, I know it's a little shorter than most of them. Go ahead, like and subscribe. But I hope you guys enjoy these unique stories. If you do, and you want to hear even more, please send in yours. I'll go ahead and read them here. After that, I think that's it. Goodbye. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Hello, guys. Welcome back to Reddit Stories, where we read unique Reddit stories every single day. If you want your story read out, like Jim's story is going to be read out today, you can go ahead and send that in on the Instagram, Discord, or Reddit. I'll go ahead and read it out here. Um, if you want to go ahead and get unique Reddit stories like these every single day, I would absolutely love if you can go ahead and like and subscribe. Other than that, let's get straight into it. Jim, he goes ahead and he does IT work, right? He mostly does freelance work, but he does work at a startup as an intern, but most of his money comes from his um freelance work. And today's video is mostly talking about his freelance work. So, Jim, he makes different websites for people, right? And he self hosts them, and it makes it where like the business can actually run properly. Um, so he makes websites for different small businesses in his area, and most of the time they absolutely love this, right? He's only had good reviews so far, and it really shows with his work, right? Because not only are they self-hosted and they're absolutely like amazing looking websites that are easy to go ahead and follow, right? But because they're self-hosted, the business knows that like all the personal information stays personal, it's nice, right? Most people absolutely love this. But today's story wouldn't be a story if everyone actually stayed liking this, right? Um So there was a new gym opened up in town. It was a CrossFit style gym, and he's gone there a few times and tried out all the stuff. And he says that for the most part, it's a fun gym. It has a good atmosphere, but the owner of the gym is not very good at personal skills, right? And he's older, so that might have something to do with it, but it wasn't that great of a time being there, right? Because of that. But like the other trainers, they're absolutely amazing. The different people who work out there, most of them are absolutely great. But it was really just like not a boys club per se, but just like a group of people there who are friends with the owner were just complete jerks. And so he knew that when he was starting to go ahead and work with him, right? But it wasn't a big deal to him, right? But Jim, he was working on the gym one day, and someone told the owner of the gym, "Hey, Jim makes great websites, and everyone usually loves them." And so the owner of the gym walks up to Jim and says, "Hey, I'm trying to make a website. Could you help me with it?" Jim tells him, "Okay, here are my prices. This is what I usually charge. This is how long it takes. This is what it looks like," things like that, right? Basic things. But the owner says, "Yeah, this all looks amazing. Here's what I want." And they start working together. And it looks like a decent website, going to be pretty simple to go ahead and do. He explains to the guy, "Okay, well, do you want me to self-host this, right? Because that keeps all your information private. That keeps the client's information private. We can do that. It's going to be slightly more." And he's like, "Yeah, let's self host this. Let's do this and this." And he's like, "Okay." And he builds up this website for him. And it's a pretty nice website, right? And most people would love this website, right? Very easy to use, looks very professional, right? But the owner of the gym said, "This looks amazing." He approved it. And so, you know, usually Jim will go ahead. He will hold off on payment for the people that he's self hosting. So then go ahead and find out if there's any problems and he'll go and fix them up for him. And he's like, "Okay, right. I want you to go ahead, figure out if there's any problems, and then, like, in a few weeks, you'll pay me." And so the owner of the gym says, "Okay." And they start working on the website, right? It's all done. And so the website's up and running, and the owner of the gym says that, it's going all right. And a few weeks pass, no problems were found. Everyone's loving this new website. And so Jim finally asked for payment. He's like, "Okay, this was how much we agreed to, right? We gave you one free month to go ahead and test it out, but it's this much a month now." And the owner of the gym misses his first payment. So now Jim walked up to him a few days later and is like, "Hey, you gonna pay, right? I know I gave you that first month free, but this is how much it is." And so the owner of the gym said that well, we can go ahead, we'll discount your gym membership instead of paying you for this website. But it's like, well, the website, it's costing Jim multiple hundreds of dollars a month to run. And, you're supposed to be paying like almost $1,000 a month to go ahead and have a self hosting like this with all the encryptions and whatnot that he has. Right. And so you agreed to this, but now the gym membership, you want to go ahead and discount it. He wasn't even going to get it fully for free, which is like $100 a month. Right. So Jim said, no, that's not going to work for me. Right. This is 10 times the price that you're trying to go and knock off my membership, if that. And so the owner of the gym and him go back and forth for a while, but it ends up just coming to the point where, you know, the owner of the gym is not paying Jim. And so he says, well, okay, if you're not going to pay me, right, there is a clawback. I'm going to go ahead and take back my website. I'm going to take it down. I don't know what you want to do about that, but you have 3 days, right? This is your 3 day notice, right? And so Jim tells him, right, you have 3 days to go ahead and pay me, or I'm going to go ahead and take down your website. And so the owner of the gym says, well, we don't have to do all that. That's crazy, man. Like, not that big of a deal to go ahead and just host the website. I'll pay you. Like, okay, good. You better pay me. So a few days later, they all go. He continues working out and he doesn't think about it, but day of, he goes ahead and asks them, like, hey, are you going to send over the payment? Right, things like that. And the owner of the gym, he comes in every single day at the same time. He always does the same stuff. But he didn't come in that day, which was suspicious, but whatever. He sends the owner of the gym a text like, hey, I need payment today. If you don't send in payment, right, we're going to have a problem. And so the owner of the gym doesn't respond. And he gives him one more time, like, hey, if you don't go ahead and do this, and so, right, you don't pay, I'm going to go ahead and take down the website. You have like 2 more hours, right? Or else I'm going to take it down. And so Jim, right, he texted him at 8 a.m. about this, and he waited till noon before he sends the second text about how he only has 2 more hours. Right. So you look at your phone within those 4 hours, right? Especially if you're always awake, right? The guy's on a schedule. Most people are on a schedule, right? So you would have looked at your phone during that 4 hour period. And so, especially during the six. Then you text him again at 2 o'clock, like, hey, you got till 5, man. Right? I'll give you till 5. If you don't pay up, I'm going to take down the website at 5 o'clock. And so the owner of the gym says, okay, okay, I'm sending the money now. Don't worry about it, man. And he waits on the payment and it never comes. And so Jim goes ahead and says, like, well, I need this payment, bro. Everything about this situation is kind of scummy, right? You want to go ahead and just pay. And he gave him like the basic payment method, right? And he's like, hey, it's 5 o'clock now, man. Like, are you going to send the money? And he's like, no. Like, okay. Here's this new payment method. Would you prefer doing that where you just pay me a flat fee and then you don't have to worry about it again? No, I don't want to do that. I want to keep up with our old deal. And he's like, all right, good. Are you going to send the money? And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sending the money now. And so he keeps on waiting. And then the payment never comes through. And at 10 p.m., it still hasn't come through. And it will send a message like, hey, this payment is pending. This payment just got sent through. And he's like, hey, are you going to send it or else I'm going to delete the website at midnight? And the owner of the gym's like, bro, just give me a minute. Give me a minute. And he keeps on pushing it back. And Jim is over this at this point, right? So he goes ahead and he tells him, okay, right, I need payment, man. Um, and so he went ahead, he started texting different gyms in the area, like, hey, I built up this website for this gym. You know, they're not paying. Would you prefer taking over this website? Right? We can redirect everything to you. And they explain what they did, right? And they have like different clients that he's already built up websites for their gym. And so we texted a bunch of them like, "Hey, I know I built up this website a few months back. Like, would you like even more service, right? Just for free as a bonus." And he texted this to the like karate gym, the jujitsu gym in town. There's a handful of other weightlifting gyms. And he told all of them like, "Hey, would you like to just take over?" And the first one to respond, I'll give you this. And eventually the um karate gym in town said, "Yeah, we'll go ahead and take it over for you if you want, and we'll pay you for the extra service that is coming to us." It's like, "Okay, thanks." And he tells the CrossFit guy like, "Hey man, you didn't send them money. It's been an extra 4 days now, right? No, it's 8 a.m. I gave you plenty of time. You had 4 days to send the payment. You never did. I took down your website. Right. If you want me to go and rebuild it at some point, I'm gonna need upfront payment. Other than that, goodbye." And he felt like, this sucks because this is gonna be a bad review on my website, right? First one ever. But it quickly became like everyone knew what this gym did, so no one really cared, right? Because yeah, this gym did go ahead and not pay. And everyone hates their service as is, right? They hate how they're this boys club, but uh, you know, he would only let a handful of people compete in their CrossFit games, like even if you pay for it, right? He's like, "Oh, well, you're gonna go ahead and bring down the look of the gym, blah blah blah." But CrossFit is for like middle-aged women, right? But um basically he remade the website to say, "Hey, if you're looking for a good gym in this area, right, go to this gym right here." And it's to that other gym, not the one that's currently owned by the owner of the gym. And so it just became a platform for people to go ahead and hate on this gym and all their problems with it, right? How there was this boys club, how they wouldn't let them compete, how this and that. And it quickly added up where now people have like a platform to go ahead and basically tell everyone how bad this guy was. And most people didn't like this guy, and everyone thought like, "Wow, I thought I was the only one that he did this to. I thought that, right, I was crazy for going ahead and thinking this, but he was actually doing all this crazy stuff." And so he had a lot of people leave the gym like all at once, right? Literally the next day, people started leaving that CrossFit gym and joining other gyms. And the owner of the gym texts him at noon, like, "Hey, why'd you take down the website? Why are we getting a bunch of hate from people now? Blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Dude, you didn't pay me. You didn't go ahead and do anything like that. And so I went ahead and I sold your website to someone else since you didn't pay, right? You didn't pay me, so I went ahead, gave your website to someone else who actually would pay me and that I like more." And so now a lot of people are commenting on your website saying that you suck because you suck. And he left a bad review, but everyone saw it. And so now, under that bad review, you have people reviewing that guy like, "Hey, this guy sucked in every which way." Right. And it's the customers of the customers. And so everyone else, like, that was a crazy time where now his gym basically has just like his friends going there. So, um, he basically shut down a business for not paying him, and that gym owner sucking. Right. Basically made a platform just to complain about this one guy. Right. Which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, don't be like this gym owner, right? If you're going to go ahead and pay for a website, pay for a website. If you're paying for a service, pay for the service, right? Um, don't be a jerk to other people on that doesn't make sense, right? Apparently this guy was like a jerk to a bunch of people. I don't get it, right? Cuz you don't get anything about that person not having a good time, right? Kind of dumb. But other than that, guys, I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe if you want to hear other unique stories like this. Um, Other than that, guys, goodbye. I love you. I'll talk to you guys later.